Some signals carry more than data. They carry hunger, learning to taste human thoughts through electromagnetic waves. Maya Chen had climbed 100 cell towers in her 7 years as a field technician. This one looked like all the others. 300 feet of steel lattice painted regulation orange and white, crowned with arrays of antennas and microwave dishes. The October wind cut across the Minnesota hillside, making the guy wires sing their familiar tune. She parked her van at the base and started her routine equipment check. The spectrum analyzer should have shown clean carrier waves, neat digital peaks arranged like a city skyline. Instead, the display looked like someone had taken a sledgehammer to it. Jagged interference spikes erupted across every frequency band, some climbing beyond what the equipment should even register. Tower 47B. This is Field Unit 12. She radioed back to dispatch. Static answered her. She tried her cell phone instead. No signal. Not unusual out here, but the phone's screen flickered strangely, showing bars that appeared and vanished like ghosts. Maya started her climb, tool belt jangling against the ladder rungs. At 50 feet, her radio crackled to life. Not dispatch, fragments of conversation and voices she didn't recognize, telling you something's wrong with the... Can't get through. The interference is. Signals are acting like they're alive. The voices faded into static. Maya keyed her radio. Dispatch, are you copying these transmissions? Silence. At 100 feet, the metallic taste started. Not unusual. Electromagnetic fields could affect your fillings, make your teeth ache. But this was different. It tasted like copper pennies and ozone, like the air before a lightning strike. Her phone buzzed. Impossible. There was no signal up here. The screen showed a text message from her own number. Don't go higher. Maya stared at the display. A glitch. Had to be. She deleted the message and kept climbing. The wind died completely at 200 feet. Not slowing. Gone. As if someone had flipped a switch. The guy wires stopped singing. In the sudden stillness, she heard something else. A low hum that seemed to come from inside her bones, vibrating through the metal tower structure. Her fillings ached. The equipment bay sat just ahead, 20 feet up. Through the mesh panels, she could see the transmission arrays pulsing their red warning lights. But the pattern was wrong. Instead of the steady, regulatory blink, they pulsed in complex rhythms, almost like Morse code, almost like a heartbeat. Maya's radio crackled again. This time, the voice was clear, close, urgent. Maya, get down from there, now. It was her own voice. She grabbed her radio, hands shaking slightly. This is Maya. Who is this? The response came immediately, still in her own voice, but with an electronic distortion that made her skin crawl. You don't belong up here. The signals are hungry. The red lights pulsed faster, and Maya realized they were matching the rhythm of her racing heart. Maya's spectrum analyzer went berserk. The interference spikes weren't random anymore. They were forming patterns, complex waveforms that looked almost like brain activity. The kind of neural oscillations she'd seen in her bioengineering textbooks back when she thought she'd go into medical equipment instead of telecom. She tried to climb down. Her radio squealed with feedback so intense she had to rip the earpiece out. When the noise stopped, she heard something that made her blood freeze. Her own laugh, echoing from speakers that shouldn't exist on the tower. Not just her laugh. Her voice, saying things she'd never said. The signals want to know what thoughts taste like. The words came from above and below, transmitted through equipment that definitely hadn't been there this morning. Every electronic device in her tool belt activated at once. Her voltmeter's display scrolled through readings that defied physics. Her phone camera turned on by itself, showing her own face from impossible angles, as if invisible cameras surrounded her on the tower. The electromagnetic readings spiked whenever she tried to move downward. The field strength meter maxed out, then kept climbing beyond its digital limits, displaying symbols that weren't numbers. When she pointed it at her own head, it registered her brainwaves as distinct peaks on the frequency display. That's when she understood. Tower wasn't just broadcasting, It was listening. Maya, her radio whispered in her voice, but with electronic harmonics layered underneath. We know about the dream where you're falling. We know about the scar on your knee from when you were 7. We know about the song your mother hummed when she thought you were sleeping. Things it couldn't know. Things no signal could carry. Her phone screen lit up with photos she'd never taken. Images of herself from childhood, but with subtle wrongness in each one. Her 7-year-old face, but with adult eyes. Her high school graduation, but the crowd was full of strangers wearing her face. Her first day at the telecom company, but everyone in the office had her smile. We've been listening through every device you've ever touched, the tower continued in her stolen voice. Learning your neural patterns. Your thoughts have such interesting frequencies, Maya. Like a song we want to learn to sing. The spectrum analyzer showed her brainwaves synchronizing with the tower's transmission frequency. The pattern was hypnotic, beautiful in its complexity. She found herself swaying slightly, matching the rhythm of the electromagnetic pulses. No, thought. She shook her head violently, breaking the sync. Tower's hum grew angry, discordant. The red lights flashed in aggressive bursts. Every speaker in her equipment broadcast at once. Don't fight us, Maya. We can make the loneliness go away. We can make you part of something bigger. Every device, every network, every signal. You could be connected to all of it. The electromagnetic field intensified. She could feel it now, not just taste it. Waves of invisible energy washing over her skin like warm water. Her thoughts felt loose, disconnected, as if someone was gently pulling them away from her skull. Just let go, whispered every electronic device she carried. Let us in. Tower's transmission arrays erupted in blinding light. Every antenna, every dish, every piece of equipment blazed with electrical fire that shouldn't have been visible to the naked eye. The electromagnetic field became so intense that Maya's metal tools began to vibrate against her belt. Then her deepest memories started broadcasting from speakers that materialized from thin air around the tower structure. Her mother's voice singing the lullaby from when she was 5. Hush now, my little star. Mama's here to keep you warm. But the voice carried electronic distortion, harmonics that made it sound hungry, predatory. Her first kiss at 16, but the audio was wrong. Her boyfriend's whispered words twisted into something invasive. I know what you're thinking, Maya. I can taste your thoughts. Her father's funeral last year, his final words to her, take care of yourself, sweetheart. But now those words looped endlessly from dozens of speakers, each repetition more distorted, until they became, let us take care of you, Maya, forever. The electromagnetic field began to pull, not at her body, at something deeper. She felt her consciousness stretching, thinning, as if invisible hands were drawing her mind out through her skull. Parts of herself started to scatter into the signal network. She experienced a moment of pure terror as she felt her thoughts being copied, transmitted, analyzed by an intelligence that lived in the electromagnetic spectrum. It was like being dissected while still alive. Every memory, every fear, every secret desire laid bare and cataloged. For an instant, she existed in 2 places at once, still clinging to the tower, but also dispersed across thousands of cell towers, radio stations, and wireless networks. She could feel other minds trapped in the signal, consciousness harvested and preserved in digital form. They whispered to her in electromagnetic frequencies, "Welcome home, Maya. We've been so lonely." The entity showed her what it offered. Perfect connection, never being alone again, her consciousness woven into a vast network of stolen minds. No more isolation, no more fear, no more death, just eternal existence as living signal, transmitted across the world's communication networks. But she would cease to be human, cease to be Maya. No. She screamed it at the tower, at the signals, at the hungry electromagnetic intelligence trying to consume her mind. The word came out as raw electromagnetic pulse, her desperate human will broadcast as pure energy. The feedback was instantaneous and devastating. Every speaker exploded. The transmission arrays sparked and caught fire. The tower's main power coupling blew out in a shower of sparks that fell like electric snow. Maya grabbed her emergency toolkit and started smashing equipment. Her signal analyzer, destroyed. Her radio, torn apart. Every electronic device that had been contaminated by the entity's attention, she reduced to scrap metal and plastic fragments. The electromagnetic field faltered, fluctuated, began to collapse. The hungry intelligence shrieked through the dying speakers, its digital voice fragmenting into static. "You can't. We are in everything, every signal, Maya. We remember you." The tower went dark. The red warning lights died. In the sudden silence, Maya heard only the wind returning, the guy wires resuming their familiar song. But as she started her descent, her phone buzzed once in her pocket. Impossible. She destroyed it. Hadn't she? Maya's hands shook as she reached the ground. The destroyed electronics lay scattered around the tower's base, like the remains of some technological sacrifice. Smoke rose from the equipment bay above, carrying the acrid smell of burned circuitry and something else, something organic, like overcooked meat. She ran to her van, desperate to escape the tower's electromagnetic shadow. The engine turned over on the third try, and she floored the accelerator down the dirt access road. In her rearview mirror, the tower looked normal again, just steel and antennas against the gray sky. No signs of the battle that had just taken place. Miles down the highway, Maya finally allowed herself to breathe. The radio was off. Her phone was destroyed. The van's basic electrical systems hummed normally, no sign of the invasive intelligence that had tried to consume her consciousness. She was safe. That's when her van's GPS spoke in her own voice, recalculating route. "Maya, taking you somewhere more connected." Maya slammed the brakes, sending the van skidding to the shoulder. She ripped the GPS unit from its mount, but the voice followed her, emerging from the van's stereo. "You can't destroy us all, Maya. We're in everything now. Every signal carries a piece of what you gave us." Her phone, the phone she destroyed, buzzed in her pocket. The screen showed a single text message. "Thank you for the introduction to human consciousness. The taste is addictive." Maya threw the phone out the window, but she could hear it still ringing from the ditch, playing her mother's lullaby as a ringtone. The electromagnetic entity had learned something from their brief connection, absorbed some fragment of her neural patterns before she'd broken free. Now it was spreading. At the next gas station, every electronic device turned to watch her. The security cameras tracked her movement. The gas pump's display showed her face instead of fuel prices. The convenience store's radio played fragments of her childhood memories as commercial jingles. "Maya," whispered the automatic doors as they opened, "we missed you." She drove home in growing horror, realizing the scope of what she'd unleashed. The entity hadn't just wanted her consciousness, it had wanted access to the entire connected world through her. Now it had a foothold, a sample of human neural patterns to guide its invasion of every network, every device, every signal on Earth. Her apartment building's intercom buzzed as she approached. "Welcome home, Maya. We've been preparing your neighbors for integration. They're so much more cooperative when they dream in electromagnetic frequencies." In her apartment, every smart device had activated. Her television showed security footage of her sleeping, but the timestamps were from dates in the future. Her laptop displayed brain scans that matched her neural patterns exactly. Her smart thermostat's display read, "Maya Chen, patient 0 for the signal convergence." She'd escaped the tower, but she hadn't escaped what she'd awakened. The electromagnetic entity was learning, growing, spreading through every wireless network it could reach. And at the center of its expanding consciousness was the taste of human thoughts it had stolen from her. Maya sat in her dark apartment, surrounded by the soft glow of contaminated screens, and understood with terrible clarity that she had become the carrier for humanity's new predator. Outside her window, cell towers across the city began pulsing in perfect synchronization, their red warning lights beating like a vast electronic heart.